Many years ago, I was watching a movie called No Man's Land. It's the only movie from Bosnia and Herzegovina that actually got an Oscar, which is a highly prestigious award for a movie. So No Man's Land had this scene in which a couple of Bosnian soldiers are sitting in the trenches, in 1993, 94, a couple of years into the war, one of the most brutal wars that happened in Europe ever, pretty much. I mean, all wars are brutal anyways. And one of the Bosnian soldiers is reading a newspaper and he says, "Oh my God, did you see this news about Rwanda? My God, they are going through such a difficult time." It's amazing how we can see these glimmers of humanity even in our own hardship. People in Bosnia say that you can be forgiven anything but success. So we always tend to cheer for underdogs and people who are in situations that are much worse than we are. But when we see people who are doing better than us, we just kind of want to bring them down to our own level. Human nature, is it, or is it conditioning? I think that celebrating each other's successes is just as important. Anyways, that whole scene stuck in my head, because what happened in Rwanda was unbelievable. The Bosnian War went on for 4 years, and we had about, 250,000 people killed and something like that. Rwanda's genocide happened in 100 days only. Excuse me. In 1993 or 94. So in 100 days, some say that about 500,000 to 600,000 people were slaughtered in 100 days. Some numbers go up to 1 million, but the number is closer to 500,000, 500,000 people. The entire population of Newfoundland in 100 days. Wow. There were 3 sides to that conflict, just like in Bosnian war. We had Croats, Serbs, and Bosniaks. They had Hutu, Tutsi, and Twa. So Hutu were these, or are these tall, Africans who traditionally were into cattle. So they were raising animals, and they were really good warriors. But more than that, they were good economists. So because they used their cattle and their animals to get their favors from Hutu, who were majority and who were basically farmers. So the Hutu farmers ended up working for the Tutsi, who were the cattle herders. And fast forwards, of course, with help of colonial powers, in this case Germany, Tutsi established themselves as the leaders of the country in Rwanda. So even though Tutsi had only 15% of population, and Hutu were 85, which Twa was only 1%. Twa were the shortest one, the pygmies of them. So the 15% of population controlled 85% of population with the help of colonial powers, of course. Once the colonial powers left Rwanda, there was still remains of colonial influence there. So Belgians were in charge of their government. So what Belgians did was to support Hutu to kind of establish themselves, to create their own army. So slowly but surely that majority of Hutus, which again was 85% of them, excuse me, finally came to power, and it culminated into, you know, them forming like a liberation army, whatever they call it, who committed this just genocide, and in 100 days they killed more than 500,000 people in 100 days. And after that came to power Twa, which are the pygmy, again, Africans. There was only 30,000 of them. 10,000 of them were also murdered. Nobody even like mentioned them really, because the numbers were so small. And that's it. That's how the Hutu executed their revenge for whatever economical power they had or they endured under the Tutsi minority government. That happened around the same time the Bosnian war and Bosnian genocide happened. Bosnian war ended in 95 and Rwandan up in 94. And today, Rwandan society is one of the most peaceful society, in which there is no mention of the war. I mean, they have reached some kind of state in which people respect each other, and all because of this philosophy that they adopted, which is called Ubuntu. Ubuntu means humanity, and it is actually translated as I am because you are, or I am because we are. It is the belief in a universal bond of sharing that connects all humanity. There are many different definitions of what Ubuntu is, and even with these various definitions, Ubuntu encompasses the interdependence of humans on another and the acknowledgement of one's responsibility to their fellow humans and to the world around them. It is a philosophy that supports collectivism over individualism. And we know that, you know, all our Western societies are based on that idea of individualism rather than collectivism. So Ubuntu as political philosophy encourages community equality, propagating the distribution of wealth. So in many ways it's very similar to communism, which, by the way, we have never achieved. You know, communism is a high level of understanding and being. The most advanced societies we have achieved thus far are socialist societies. So we have socialist China, socialist Cuba, socialist former Yugoslavia, socialist Russia. None of them really are communist countries, because again, communism requires a high level of understanding, which is going to be achieved with the help of artificial intelligence in the future, when we become accustomed to no private property, and in which, you know, everybody's life will be equally important. Of course, this is utopia, but those are the premises that we are reaching for. Ubuntu implies that everyone has different skills and strengths. People are not isolated, and through mutual support, they can help each other to complete themselves. Redemption relates to how people deal with errant deviant and dissident members of the community. The belief is that man is born formless, like a lump of clay. It is up to community as a whole to use the fire of experience and the wheel of social control to mold him into a pot that may contribute to society. Any imperfections should be borne by the community, and the community should always seek to redeem man. To each according to their needs, and from each according to their ability, which again is a big postulate of communism, which again has never been achieved. First, there is a value in regarding a broken relationship as being authentically human as much as a harmonious relationship. Second, a broken relationship can be as ethically desirable as a harmonious one. For instance, freedom follows from a break from oppression. Finally, harmonious relations can be as oppressive and false as disharmonious ones. For instance, the cowboy and his horse are in a harmonious relationship. What we call harmonious relationships or democracy doesn't really work due to the perpetual economical slavery imposed upon us. Again, the distribution of wealth has to happen. We need to learn how to share. We need to learn how to be accountable for every member of our society. Unfortunately, and this is something that I argued even after September 11, you cannot impose your morality or your laws upon people who are suffering. Just because you think that, taking an airplane and killing 3,000 people because something happened to you is unacceptable, that doesn't mean that the terrorist, or what we call terrorist, is not going to do it. We have problems, just the other month or a few months ago, there was a shooting in Serbia in which a boy took a gun and shot his friends in school. That happens all over the world all the time. You cannot go and say to this boy, look, this is not right. They know. A criminal knows what they are doing is wrong. Why are they doing that? Are they selfish or are they forced to do that? Why do we have problems with addictions? Why in the most beautiful society in the world, such as Canada or our own Newfoundland, we have so many unhappy people? So many. No one is happy, rich or poor. Actually, the richer you are, the more unhappy you are, because the more responsibility is placed upon you. Seriously, man, being rich is like being cursed. Everybody wants something from you, and everybody blames you for everything. And you work twice as hard. My friends who are business owners around town, my God, they work 24/7. They're constantly on call. And everybody calls them every day. Give us money for this, give us money for that. Help this, help that. Listen to me, listen to that guy. Jesus Christ. Seriously. And everybody hates them. If they help, they hate them. If they don't help, they hate them. Ubuntu, collectivism. If one person suffers, the whole humanity suffers. And if one person is happy, everybody is happy. It's all contagious. Yes, we have to work on ourselves. Yes, we are responsible for our own happiness. Blah, blah, blah. But we are talking about generational curses at this point. Generations of people who were born under this welfare system, who have undeveloped common sense, to use any other expression really, who are unable to work, unable to provide for themselves. This is community fault. We are responsible for every member of our society, the rich and the poor. That's it. A little bit of African philosophy on this beautiful Saturday afternoon by your little red lying hood. Love you all.